Hi, guys.
How's it going?
It is going. Today's been kind of a little frustrating, as it has been for most farmers all throughout the United States, especially with all the rain in the South. So I feel blessed that our crops are out of the fields right now.
I know. I'm just watching on social media. I feel so bad, especially all those cotton people down in the South they're getting just wiped out with rain. I mean, I don't even know what does heavy rain like that do to cotton.
Well, I know it soaks it up, and I think now I obviously do not grow cotton, but from what I understand, and we'll have to have Brannon confirm this when he gets on, but the fear is that if the cotton gets too wet and falls off the plant, then they can't harvest it. I think that's the biggest fear, and then the quality I think is damaged too every time it gets wet and wind blown and stuff like that. So
that's crazy. You talk about the rain and the hurricanes that way, but then you look out west to Texas and Oklahoma, and they're dealing with snow and ice out there.
I know we still have snow on the ground here in Nebraska.
You can keep it there.
They were really beautiful.
How much did you get?
Oh, I mean, enough for it to not melt right away, but not.
Yeah.
I'd say less than an inch, and it blowed in places to kind of drift a little bit, but that's about it.
Yeah. I was talking to a guy yesterday, a new dealer of mine up in, it'd be like northwestern Montana. And he was saying that they went to bed. Everything was nice. It was a 50-degree day, and they woke up the next morning with a foot of snow on the ground.
Wow.
I believe it.
Which I think they're probably a little bit more adept to handling than most, but that still is a big shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we complain about all of our weather changing every hour, but at least we don't have to deal with hurricanes and all of that. So, if our corn gets snowed on, you just have to wait to harvest it later. It doesn't really damage it too much unless it falls off the stalk. But yeah. I'm just glad to be here.
We're talking about flood watches by us here in the Louisville, Kentucky area. We've got a bunch of rain getting ready to head in this way, kind of some of the outer reaching bands of this system here. So it's going to be interesting to see what the next 24 to 48 hours look like here. Still going to stay about in the 50s or maybe even low 60s, but a lot of rain coming this way.
Yeah.
Are crops mostly harvested down there by you, Brent?
A lot of them are, it's mostly corn and soybeans around here. And, the large majority are, there's some where guys were kind of sitting on a little bit, and I'm not really sure why. I'm sure individual decisions, but man, we hadn't hardly had any rain to speak of for about 6 or 8 weeks. And, now I see guys that are getting about halfway through it and having to stop because it's been wet here the last couple of weeks on and off. So some guys just flat out missed their window. And they're going to be waiting a little while now because it's about to get sloppy here, at least into the early part of next week, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Kelly posted a video today of all her cotton getting wet. She had 2 inches of rain already, and the fields were soaked. And she had 450 acres, I think, left of cotton that was all open and ready to harvest, and they couldn't get it out. So.
Is it just me? I feel like Kelly and Matt can never get a break from the weather.
I know, right?
It seems like every time I check, I see what she posts. It's always the weather is always messing with them in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know what she did to get on Mother Nature's bad side.
Well, I mean, we all know what she did.
So that I can be like, I don't know.
She has a few too many choice words for Mother Nature, and I guess
thou shalt not use Mother Nature's name in vain.
That's one you don't want to taunt.
Yeah, we've had our share of bad luck, but man, Kelly and Matt can just not catch a break. Yeah. For some of our viewers, feel free to post where you're at and how you guys are doing with harvest or what your weather is like right now. I see JoJo saying hello. Hi, JoJo. Thanks for watching.
Go back.
And so, Brent, what do you have going on right now?
And busy times right now. Just trying to wrap up another show for this week. Interesting. We bring on this week to kind of lead things off the Illinois Valley Community College there in Oglesby, Illinois. For about 10 or 11 years, they dropped their agriculture program, I guess from 95, well, I guess closer to 20 years, 95 to 2016, they dropped their program. And this is their 5th year of having it back. And it's going through a really nice revival. And about a month ago, they just opened a new kind of an agricultural facility there on their working farm, which is about a 153-acre farm. So they're doing some really interesting things. One of them being a cannabis certificate program. And now I'm not talking hemp, I'm talking actual cannabis now that that's legal in Illinois. So they actually have a growing program there. And the one thing I didn't ask, they probably should have. I take it it's not just a bunch of stoners that are signing up for that to figure out how to do better with it, but it's people who are serious about commercializing cannabis growth for mostly medicinal purposes, but some for recreational purposes. They actually have a certificate program there. So we get into talking about that a bit and a lot of the other disciplines that they get into on that program. But it's a 2-year program that they're feeding a lot of the Illinois schools like Illinois State and Southern Illinois, Carbondale, and so forth. So, in this time when a lot of people have been kind of down on agriculture, to see this program really kind of building up, and then in 2020 being able to share some positive news by opening up this facility. It's been pretty interesting to see. And they've had some really good support from a lot of companies in the ag space, Case IH being one of them that's helped them out. They're also doing some field trials alongside the University of Illinois ACES program. So a lot of really cool stuff going on there with that. So we dig deep into that. I had seen a little something about that on one of the ag roundups I get, and I say, anytime we see anything positive like this going on in the industry right now, we got to jump on that and highlight that. And the folks there were really gracious to spend some time with me, kind of breaking down what that program looks like right now. Enjoyed doing that. Then I had a chance to talk to my buddy Derek here. We spent some time late last week talking about United We Ag and the success he's had with his podcast. And so I'm going to be profiling some of our content sharing partners over the next few weeks. So at some point, we'll get our buddy Brannon in here and talk to him about everything going on with farm life and kind of the beginnings of that and where things are today. And we'll bring on my buddy, the hot rod farmer, Ray Bohacks, and talk about the Farm Machinery Digest and bushels and cents and all the stuff that he's doing with that. And that guy, if you know anything about him, I'm a guy that grew up as a young boy reading Hot Rod magazine. We used to get it at the house, and some of these things that he's involved in. But he's an automotive engineer by trade, and I remember looking at his columns when I was a young boy. So the fact that he even reached out to me to want to share content is pretty cool. I really enjoy Ray and talking to him. He's got so much knowledge and common sense, puts things into common sense terms. So we'll get into profiling those guys here over the next few weeks. And then early tomorrow morning, I'm going to catch Bobby Marquez, who is one of the shining lights in traditional kind of honky-tonk music. He's going to be doing a new campfire series that's going to launch on Sunday on social media. And, he does all that stuff to benefit St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And that's such a great cause. And he's done a bunch of live shows for St. Jude. So I'm going to spend some time talking to him, and then we'll give you a corn and soybean kind of harvest report and kind of get you up to speed where things are. Almost a little hesitant to do those these days because by the time it gets out there, it can be dated pretty quickly. As quick, as we've just referenced, as this weather changes here, things get kind of goofy in a hurry. So those are the biggest things that we're catching up on. We had a really nice live stream last night with John Mullins, who was on this most recent season of The Voice. I spent about an hour talking with him and getting some of the insights on what it was like in that show and, some of the things he's got planned. We were supposed to have a live stream, and I want to make sure we get this out here because we talked about it last week on the show. Tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern with Kurt Coffey, who's the head of global marketing communications for Case IH, to talk about, kind of the future of ag innovation. And we had to cancel it once already because he had something come up. And now I got word here this morning that he has come down with an illness. So I have to punt on that one for yet another week. So no live stream tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern. We're instead going to look at doing that the following Thursday, which is November 5th at 4 o'clock Eastern. And, sometimes these things are just snake bitten. So I'm hoping we can get through all that next week and get Kurt on the show, because I know it's going to be a fascinating discussion. Case IH is one of those companies that's on the forefront of developing technology and working with a lot of third-party providers who are really adept at some of this new technology. So that's a little bit about what we've got going on. Another live stream next Tuesday night is going to be JT Cooper. We've got 2 in a row. The next 2 Tuesday nights are going to be focused on people who have some sort of tie to the military leading up to Veterans Day. And JT, if you're familiar with him at all, if you're familiar with the story Black Hawk Down, he was with the 10th Mountain Division, and he was one of those guys behind enemy lines to try to rescue those guys after that helicopter was shot down. Just his story is incredible. And, today he owns a successful plumbing company out of the Nashville area, and he's also a country music artist. And what he does is work with soldiers and sailors, folks coming back, service members who deal with PTSD and a number of issues. And he's created an organization called Warrior Rounds, where they get in there and he helps them put their thoughts and feelings down on paper and put them to song. And they use that as therapy, and JT, just an amazing guy with an amazing story. And man, I've had him on the show a couple of times. I've worked with him a bunch with the organization Vet Links out of Nashville. And you can't get through listening to his story without getting emotional. So hope everybody will come and check that out next Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern. And then we'll have him on the podcast. We try to get some of these shows this time of year to really highlight our veterans. And we're going to get into talking about Kubota's Kubota Cares program for veterans and some of what the ag industry is doing to help farmers soldiers or sailors, service members coming back, getting reacclimated to civilian life. A lot of programs out there to get them into farming. So I'm going to be talking about that over the next couple of weeks too, because I think it's just, I've got a special place in my heart for it. And I don't want to get on my soapbox here, but I tell you, we had Justin Collins on the show last week talking about his new song, Stand for the Flag. And, to me, I mean, that's not a partisan issue. That's not a Democrat issue. It's not a Republican issue, not a libertarian issue. It's an American issue. And there's been a lot of people to fight and die for our right to do that. And, we tried to boost that across Facebook here to get some extra attention, and Facebook wouldn't allow it to go because they said it was in violation of their community standards. So, I at the same time, I'm still being fed political ads. So it's a bit of a head scratcher to me. So, I try to put all that aside and say anything we can do to shine a light on the work being done by our brave servicemen and women who fight for this country and sacrifice. We're going to do it here. And there's a lot of intersection between that and agriculture. So that's it. That's my soapbox anyway, but that's been stuck in my craw a little bit this week here that, we've kind of politicized something that should be a given here if you are a God-fearing lover of our country. So anywho, that's me for this week.
Well, thank you, Brent. We have Brannon here, who's a little bit late. He hopped in. I'm gonna let him take the reins for the rest of the live while I work behind the scenes to hopefully get a special video for Derek uploaded, so that it will actually play nicely So I'm going to be in the background if you need me, Brent, and you and Brannon will be able to see me, but everybody won't. But if you need me, I'll be around.
In the meantime, I want to hear about this dinner.
Let me tell you what. I was at a birthday party at the Mexican restaurant.
Oh, say no more.
And there were 2 groups of 40 in there. I waited 25 minutes to get my check.
All socially distanced, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Socially distanced. And as the 30-second countdown began, he brought me my check. And he says, I get all the others first and I'll come back to get yours. I said, no, take mine now. I gave him my card. I signed it and I bailed. I was gone. I rolled in. Thank goodness the Mexican restaurant is only 5 minutes from here. And I came in on 1 tire.
That's the kind of dedication you get right here on Farm Life, folks.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you.
We should be good as long as none of you need a picture of a hamburger in like the next 5 seconds, like Dustin did to me a couple weeks ago.
Well, guys, I'm gonna tell you what. We're facing something tonight right here that I never thought we would face. We're directly in the line for Zeta, Billy, whatever this thing's name is. And the last that I heard about 2 hours ago is we will have sustained 70-mile-an-hour wind here at the house.
No. Well. And that's what's that going to do to the cotton? We were talking about cotton without you.
we have cotton that I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. We tried picking last night and run till 8 or 8:30 last night when everything broke. Literally, we had everything break last night. We had the cotton picker. Daryl made his last basket for a field, dumped it in the module builder, went to back up, and the steering arm broke off the picker. He had two wheels going opposite directions. I left the field in another tractor and made it about a half mile, and the tractor stopped dead in the road. The alternator had gone out on it, and well, as you know, Case IH and the Ford New Holland tractors are all electronic, and if the alternator doesn't work, nothing does, including the transmission.
Oh, no.
And we got to the third tractor, and he pulled out, the 4440 pulled out on the road and made it about 200 yards, and the alternator went out on it, and the whole tractor went. So that ended our night, and well, it's one of those things, but we're there. Brent, what are they saying you are going to get for rain? I heard you saying that they'd put flash flood watches or flood watches.
I need to check. I haven't seen rain totals yet, but I know it's up there because we're under flood watch as we get going here. I'll have to check that out. You know, you talk about those sustained winds, and it made me think of 2008. You think about how far inland we are here in the Louisville, Kentucky area, and we got the remnants of Hurricane Ike. And you know, I know that these guys up in Iowa kind of experienced this here with the derecho too, but there was a few hours. I remember it being a Sunday night. This was in September. It blew through there, and we were looking at 75 to 100 mile an hour winds, and it absolutely decimated a lot of the infrastructure. You know, took down a lot of pylons, a lot of trees. And then a few months after that, you fast forward to the next February, we had a colossal ice storm. So what the hurricane winds didn't take care of, and we had an ice storm that it wound up wiping out so much infrastructure that this area practically got all new, power lines and power poles and everything else because there was times between those two storms, September and February. I mean, we were without power for weeks on end. We were without water. It was a rough stretch, especially that hurricane one. We were without water for a week, and you can kind of rough it and get by without power, man. Try it going without water for a week. It's not fun.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they had the ice storms, and you look at all the guys that had cotton with ice on it down in
Yeah.
Texas and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
They're talking 1 inch to 4 inches of ice in that area. It's incredible to think
Yeah, I think Garrett Tomlinson posted today he had 4 inches of ice in Texas. That makes for an extremely miserable day.
Yeah. So it's funny to me because you think about where we sit here in the kind of where the Midwest meets the South, and then you think about that as being quote unquote South, and those guys getting some of those bands of snow and ice, and we haven't seen anything but rain here, and the 40s and 50s and 60s here the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, and we've been in the 70s here, but down south in South Georgia, they're still 85, 86 degrees.
Yeah. Well, that won't help the hurricane any.
No. But now, if I understand correctly, and now Pam Knox is the Georgia meteorologist from UGA. I love her to death, and I see she's on, so she's probably watching. If I'm not mistaken, I think we're going to get really cold this week. I think as soon as this hurricane comes through, it's going to get cold. So, that'll be interesting to see. Am I blurry to you guys?
A little bit. Yeah, there's a little lag there.
Really?
I feel like it comes and goes, kind of.
Well, I feel like I come and go sometimes. Maybe I can switch cam.
So you were asking about rainfall totals here. What we're looking at here is 2 to 4 inches of rainfall here in the next about 36 hours, starting here about any time now.
Really? Well,
the temperatures hanging in the upper 50s.
Oh, really?
What biggest alert
really is that?
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
100% chance of rain, heavy rain and wind. So north.
But they're
winds,
saying it's going to move through. It's going to be. It's going to move through extremely fast.
Yeah.
Like 8 a.m. in the morning, it's going to be here. And by 9 or by 11 tomorrow, it's going to be in like Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, it's so up and down this time of year. I'm sitting here looking at this. It's going to be down next Monday, 49 degrees. Then by next Friday, up to 67 again. So you just have that constant bounce up and down between the 40s and the almost 70s for about the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, and that doesn't help cotton any at all for us. Up and down, up and down, up and
yeah.
It's 73 degrees, and it feels like 79 right now. That's what I was sitting here looking at to see what ours says. I hadn't even looked at it. The
other thing, over the next 10 days between today, which we have 83% humidity right now, the lowest we dip over the next 10 days is 60% humidity. So it's just that heavy air.
Now, here's what ours does. Tomorrow, we're at a high of 79 and a low of 47 with rain all day. Imagine that. We're getting rain.
Yeah.
But our highest temperature after that for the next 2 weeks is 63 degrees. And we're going to be 27 Monday the 2nd. So, yeah, we're going to be our normal for this year is 67 and 47. And our high today is 77 and a low is 71 tonight. So tonight's going to be ripe for tornadoes.
There.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, as if that isn't. My son and stickers. I mean, most of the cotton guys are behind as it is because of rain, and it's gonna be depending on this storm. When you look coming from South Alabama, coming this way, Mississippi, it's gonna be catastrophically devastating, even with it moving fast for farmers. If you figure that probably only 30% of the cotton is picked right now, that's a big deal.
Yeah, huge.
So
I imagine same for we talk about cotton, but I'm sure about the same thing for peanuts right now, huh?
yeah. Well, imagine how all the peanuts that are still on top of the ground that have been turned over. I mean, this was something nobody was expecting.
Yeah. And as one of the meteorologists was pointing out yesterday, we still got another month of the technical hurricane season here. Not to be Debbie Downer or anything.
Yeah, hold on just a second. Look, Derek and Brent, look at the backstage private chat. Now, that's awesome.
How does anybody even have floppy disks anymore?
How does anybody still have for everybody, just so you know, Nicole asked her dad to hand her a drive so she could switch the file from one computer to the other, and her dad handed her a floppy disk. Do they even exist still?
You know, like 2 or 3 years ago, when I was still doing data management, I had a guy that asked can you import all of my information? And generally that's 5-6 years. This guy brought in CDs, he brought in floppy disks, he brought in this little thing that looked like a little mini hard drive, and it was going back to like 1993.
Wow.
And I wasn't able to get any of that, but it kind of baffles me. I always from time to time think about what could have been on some of those older files. Like what were some of those early iterations of yield monitors putting out in terms of what did the information look like?
Oh, it had to have been, just look at what we've done in the last 5 years. Just the last 5 years, the changes. And that's absolutely crazy to imagine what it would be back with a floppy disk.
Yeah. He said he didn't want to throw them away because he doesn't know what's on there. I'll say if it's on a floppy disk, it's probably not important.
No.
If it hasn't come up at this point, if it hasn't come up in 2020 and it's on a floppy disk still, it's probably not an important document.
If it hasn't come up in the last 15 or 20 years, you don't need it anymore. But that goes back to the saying on farms. How many times do we throw something away on the farm in 4 days after we throw it away? We need it.
Yeah, that's life in general, it seems like.
You're working on a pivot. You throw a gearbox away because it was an old and weak gearbox. What happens? You lose the gearbox. So, well, Derek, tell us a little bit about what you got going.
So this week, well, I can get started if Nicole, if she can't get it figured out, we've got another option that we can go. It might not be the highest quality, but I think it'll get the point across, and I will post everything as soon as we get done here anyway. But this week has been kind of a weird transition week for me because I had taken some vacation to get done with harvest. So not only kind of that got wrapped up, but I'm trying to get back into the swing of things with my, day-to-day job. And then also trying to pick up trying to spend some extra time if I'm able to with my wife and kids, as we've been kind of running ragged for the last how many weeks prior to this. So there's some some big things happening at both at work and some stuff we're doing out at the farm here the next couple of days. And I actually have been kind of combing through the schedule for recording and just getting a good solid timeline for some upcoming shows between now and Christmas. I'm really excited about a lot of them. I've got a couple professors that'll come on and we'll talk about how not every ag program looks the same. And, you don't have to be from a rural background to join an ag program. I'm really excited for that conversation. I've got a couple of companies we'll do a little profile on. There's a company based out of Nebraska here that helps guys make the transition to organic. If, one of the hardest things to do when you're trying to make that transition is to just get all the paperwork done, know where to buy, where to sell, how are you staying in compliance? And so this company kind of comes in and helps you, holds your hand through the entire process and makes it easy on you. And I've got an ecology program out of Maine that we'll be talking here in the next couple of weeks, talking about they set up an outdoor program to educate the people around on how to farm and grow things and incorporate the native habitats of the natural landscape, which I think is kind of a cool way to go about it. And there's a lot of, I have a whole list of ones. Me and Ryan, my editor, were kind of talking through a few things that after we get through, we've had a little bit of a lull. I have to admit, I had a couple episodes that I wasn't actually able to put on the air yet that were supposed to kind of fill up the time through October. And then when those fell through, as Brent, I know you're aware of how that happens sometimes. You got a plan A and sometimes it doesn't work out. So I didn't
every week.
didn't have the opportunity to cut and record anything for the middle of October, but I promise we'll make it up to you with this episode that's going to come out next Monday. It's probably been one of the most exciting projects that I've been involved with since I've started doing this. Trying to really, really push the promotion on this one because it's got a lot of appeal for not only, people that are interested in agriculture, but just people that are interested in learning something and knowing more about a really fascinating program. So I don't know, Nicole, if you think we're a couple of minutes away or what are your thoughts? Should we go ahead and try it? Well, has it been uploaded or?
Final frontier.
I don't know. Well, should we come back around to it or what do you think?
Sorry, Derek.
It's all right.
I'm working on 2 different computers here and it was uploading on the other, but of course I've gone through it with my computer where it was uploading for an hour and it didn't work. So maybe we should just do the share the screen and do it that way, and then we can post a link to it in the comments.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll submit it. I'll post it on all of my social medias after this, so I can share it on the Farm Life page as well. So.
Okay. Do you want me to share screen or do you want to share screen?
I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it if I do it. Remember, we tried that.
All right. I will pull it up.
Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds.
Somebody's watching Star Trek.
Okay. Hang on 1 second.
To seek out new life.
We're looking at supplementing that packaged diet with fresh produce to make sure the astronauts get all the nutrition they need and to give variety and flavor.
We both love plans, and love space, and just love talking about this and doing this work.
Oh, we lost Brannon.
Whoops. Now, did
But-
that lag too much for you guys?
No, that was great, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, so probably the first month that I started doing this, I was sending out emails, and I talked to Brent a little bit about this on the show that'll come out here this week. But my thought was, what's the worst that anybody can tell me if I ask for an interview? And that's they can tell me no, and I'm in the same exact position that I'm in now. So I was sending out emails to anybody that would open them. I sent a bunch of emails to NASA because the two things I'm fascinated with are agriculture and outer space. I've always been kind of a space nerd. I love sci-fi movies, sci-fi everything, sci-fi books. So it was kind of like that great white buffalo that I never really thought that I could find. But one day I got an email back from somebody on the PR team at Kennedy Space Center, and we went through probably 2 months of going back and forth, talking about what we could do for content, how I could promote it, what all the different red tape that goes along with working with a government agency. And it came to be where a couple weeks ago, I got to sit down with two plant scientists that work at the Kennedy Space Center down in Orlando, Dr. Joy Amasa and Matt Romine. And they are two people that are actively working with both the ground teams and with the astronauts and implementing both the veggie habitat and the advanced plant habitat, where they're growing things like zinnias, they're growing flowers, they're growing lettuce. Matt is really big on his newest project. He's trying to grow hot peppers in outer space. And their whole goal is to, and Joya kind of says it in her clip there in that video, is to supplement the already packaged diet with fresh nutrients for both variety, flavor, nutritional needs. It's really, really fascinating how they're doing it. One thing that I've always admired about NASA is just their citizen scientist program, where they encourage anybody and everybody to go out and get involved with the research and send it to them. If you think it's something that's interesting or something that could work in one of their programs, they have something, and I'll share the link with this as well. And Nicole, this would be cool for you and your students, but they have a program for middle school and high school teachers where they'll show you how to create a little mini mock planet or a little mini mock habitat, and you try and grow something in it. And the whole thought process behind that is, if we can get thousands of schools around the world growing things in their unique areas, and it's just high school kids or middle school kids doing it. Their thought is, if we can find 50 trials of the same plant that people select to grow, and it works in all of these different areas with these different people doing trials, then odds are it's probably a good candidate for space. So it can get your kids excited about it. It can get, kind of build that wonder. I mean, if you think about it, I shouldn't say there's not a lot left in the natural world that we have to leave and wonder of. But when you think of just the vastness of space and where we are in the timeline of humanity, I mean, it won't be too terribly long before there are commercial flights to take people up and kind of do some exploring. I can't say we're probably close to, something like a Star Trek or anything like that. But, to get to that next step, we've got to figure out how to supply food. And so right now, I think veggie's been around for about 10 years ish, going on a little bit more. And they're continually pushing. I know some of the next things they're looking to grow are tomatoes. They've got a really ambitious timeline, I would say, for what they're trying to do. And I guess the main reason we're choosing to launch it on the 2nd of November, it's kind of a special day. And if you follow NASA on any social media, you'll see there's some there's some new astronauts heading up. There's some cool things happening, and November 2nd is actually the 20-year anniversary for human habitation on the International Space Station. So on this Monday, it will mark 20 years that humans have been living in space on that habitat. So it's kind of a momentous thing, looking towards the future, reaching out. It's a call out to everybody to get involved with the research, get involved with the program, get interested in it, because, when we eventually do kind of move out and settle among the stars, we're going to have to realize learn how to grow things. And it's just a really, really fascinating topic to cover. It was very exciting for me. One thing, and if you listen to the show, I asked them both kind of how they got into agriculture, how they got into working at NASA, specializing in agriculture. And Dr. Massa has a really, really good story. And it starts with her in middle school having a very good ag teacher in her program. And she says it starts with the ag teachers. It starts with just building that little bit of interest, or sparking that little bit of interest that can set somebody down a path where now she's responsible. She was at one point the project lead for the veggie program, which is if you ever look at, I know there was Scott Kelly had a couple of pictures where he had some of their zinnias were dying on the veggie platform, and he noticed that a couple of the convection fans to get the heat going from the top to the bottom weren't working right. So he had these fungus-ridden zinnias that he kind of nursed back to health with the guidance of the team on the ground. And he's got a bunch of pictures of him holding them up. It's a really cool thing. And she was one of the project leads on that program when that was all happening. So it's really, really fascinating interview. Probably the one I'm the most excited about that I've done so far. So
do they eat the zinnias?
They can. I think the zinnias was more of a proof of concept.
Okay, that makes sense. Like, do you have like a zinnia salad? Like, I feel like I'm underutilizing my plants. I mean, dandelions.
It was, and we talk a lot, and even on social media, about just mental health. And if you think about it, and they're actually doing studies on this now within NASA with their internal psychiatrists and psychologists to try and measure the impact that just taking that 5 minutes to go and handle the garden on the spaceship, what does that do for morale when you're up there? Because you think about these people, they're living in isolation in a room that's probably or in an area that's no bigger than probably most people's average basement. And there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere, if you need to step outside for fresh air, not an option. And so just facing that extreme isolation, having it offers the same purpose that having the garden at your house does for you, or it's a little bit of a place that's just your own. You go out and you blow off some steam, you check on your plants, and it helps provide a positive experience around mental health, which we're lucky to say that it's a big part of agriculture, is just watching things grow and live and cultivating them and having your hand in this miracle that is growing plants. And now they're extending that into space, hopefully into the moon and onward. So
those zinnias are pretty hardy, man. We were looking at a garden of them here over the weekend, and we've had a couple hard frosts, and those things still look really good. So I think they hold up well.
Yeah, if they need something that really lives, they should transplant some pigweed up there.
I would really love to see what pigweed would do in space.
It'd probably completely cover Mars. Honestly, that and cockaburs. Let's just throw some up there, and it will make a nice, plant bed.
And exactly, they would bring the pigweed back down to earth, and all of a sudden it would be even more aggressive than it is now.
Imagine what sand spurs would do.
Jeez.
That's what I'm talking about. We call them cockaburs.
No, there's cockaburs, and then there's sand spurs.
Are you talking like puncture vine? I don't. Maybe we don't have this plant.
No, it only grows in the South that I know of.
Okay. Puncture mine hurts too.
It's when you run out in the field and it sticks to your pants and you sit back down in the truck, you know what it is then.
Well, I tell you what, we had our kids out at the pumpkin patch over the weekend, and all of them fell down in the pumpkin patch, and that thing was just covered with those, and it was in their hair, in their pants.
Oh.
We spent half the day picking those pointy little things out of there, and they are miserable.
I got a question.
Saying goat heads.
What do they do for entertainment on the space station?
I mean,
grow flowers.
They grow flowers.
You know,
no, it sounds like. I mean, I think their schedules are fairly regimented. They've got all the critical systems that have to get checked and then rechecked, and they've got experiments that they're doing. You know, that seems like that takes up quite a bit of time, where they're running all sorts of different experiments and stuff we know about and the stuff that we probably don't know about. And I know that I do know that I believe they get internet. So probably a lot of watching Netflix.
They're doing the same thing we are, scrolling.
Yeah. Live streaming.
Hopefully they're watching Farm Life
right now.
Facebook. Could you imagine Facebooking from space?
Oh man.
I would never get anything done. I'd be like, oh, look at that picture. See?
You know, if I was thinking, I would have uploaded all the pictures Brannon sent me yesterday every time something broke. I swear I got like 15 pictures. I'm like, I tell you, Brannon, I'm sorry my day doesn't suck as much as yours.
that was absolutely the worst day. We put a brand new battery in the tractor, and I'm going along, and I'm just bebopping along, and the AC quits, and it starts blowing hot air, and I'm like, come on. So I called Daryl. I said, you know, I have no AC. He says, well, you could stand to lose a few pounds while you're at it. Keep on going. So yeah, but you know, it would be fun in the space in the space station and just kind of chilling. I mean, but how do you lay down and relax if you're just floating around? Imagine if you're fall asleep watching TV.
Well, it's not like you can go anywhere. I mean, might hit your head on the other wall or something. I think, don't they strap themselves down, or don't they have like a gravity thing that they have to be in for so much time?
It's like a sleeping bag that's stuck up to the wall that they they just like stick themselves in. And I've seen pictures like their arms will be like floating like this, and they're just like kind of. I mean, I'm sure that you could probably lay down and just float there in space. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if that'd make your back feel better. You know, like
probably. Well, yeah, because you don't have any pressure on anything.
Okay, for fat people like me, it would have to feel good because it takes all the weight. I mean, it just kind of evens it out. Your flat goes.
Does your organs float inside of you?
I have no idea the answer to that.
I mean, like,
tell you what, it sounds like your next mission here needs to be to line up an astronaut to get on here and answer some of these questions.
Yeah.
Good answers to
like, what do you do about gas?
Does the gas just stay there? Does it?
You just pray for a good cream. I'm guessing.
Is it like self-contained? So questions.
All right, now we have a hurricane coming. I just got my weather alert for tomorrow. Scattered showers for tomorrow. Slight breeze.
Wow, sounds like our weatherman.
Gonna be scattering your porch furniture all over the place.
Y'all, who makes up the weather? I want that job. As much as I screw up stuff, I could make millions as a weatherman. And never get fired.
You should make a daily weather report for Farm Life. Just a 30-second, like this is what Brandon says the weather's going to be. And then we can get Kelly on there to see at the end of the day to see how your forecast lived up to her expectation.
Well, you ought to get one of those weather rocks that you just hang a rock from the string, and then every morning you live stream at 7:00 on the dot, where you just walk out and show that rock, and if it's swaying, you just go, it's windy. If it's wet, you go, it's raining. If it's gone, you say it's tornado season.
Or you have
yeah.
Take place in my house.
All right, but now wait a minute, hold on. It could be gone for a different reason. I could make some people mad and they could take it off and blow it.
He may not want to hang a rock outside his door.
I know.
Coming through your window.
Especially if Nicole's around.
Hey now. I don't beat up on you.
You were making faces at me while I was trying to eat my shrimp and chicken earlier.
Yes, because I was asking you questions and you're just looking at me and not answering the question.
Oh, there was 40 people at my table.
Well, you're just like looking at me and you're just like, yep. And I'm like, I asked the question like 5 times and you're just staring at me. And I'm like, am I on mute? Like, what? Answer the question. And you never did answer the question.
I didn't understand it.
I figured it out on my own. It's all right. I got all your passwords, so it all worked out.
See, you know all my passwords anyway.
Well, but I didn't know which of your 40,000 emails it was on, so took a while. But that's okay.
Are you sure? You seem to have anger issues tonight. Nicole, you have aggressive passive syndrome tonight.
Aggressive passive syndrome? I think that's something you just made up. Where I can aggressively passive. That don't make sense. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But it sounded good for a second.
For a second. Until you said it out loud.
There was something else.
Now, Sherry Carrington has said that here in southern Ohio, we had a good couple weeks. Now the rain has set in and stopped us completely. Isn't looking good in the forecast. We are farmers. We are strong. That's right, Sherry. And Megan clarified that goat heads are the same thing as puncture vine. They're the same evil weed. So that's good. I didn't know they were called goat heads. I just know they popped my bike tires when I was a kid. You know what I'm talking about, right, though? Like,
no.
They're like these little flat vines that go in the ground, especially if the ground is really dry and like cracked. And it has these like, you just stop it. It has like little brown thorny things. They look like a starburst kind of thing. They're like rock hard, and if you step on one of those, it really hurts. Derek, you're from Nebraska. You know what I'm talking about, right? Puncture. Sure.
Yeah, look at that look. Yeah, Derek knows for sure. Yep, go ahead.
I'm not crazy. I'm gonna look these up. I'm gonna show you a picture.
Okay, hold on. Rephrase that. You're not crazy. Where's RJ?
He's probably put our kids to bed.
Oh. By the way, I have a complaint. We haven't had enough animal selfies lately.
Are you kidding? RJ has literally posted like every day. The cows and the every day there's like a picture of the cows in farm life.
So here on YouTube, there's a video, awful goat head weed / puncture vine burrs in my yard.
Okay, here, I'm going to share my screen so you can see this.
I'll tell you what, I'll tell you one of the things, if somebody's watching, I want to talk to somebody. I would love to have a sugar beet grower on with us. and a cranberry grower.
Oh, there you go.
See these like
We
evil.
don't have those. We don't have those here. We don't have those here. Look up.
Have those. You have all the terrible things in the South.
Look up sand spurs. Look up sand spurs while you're doing it. Go ahead and look up sand spurs.
Sand spurs.
Yeah.
Are you? I'm pretty sure we're talking about the same thing.
No, we're not.
Sand
I
spurs.
promise you.
Oh no, these are like that grass stuff.
Yes.
I see what you're talking about.
And they hurt.
You have cockaburs though, right?
Yes. But they're big. Sand spurs are like tiny, and when you least expect it, they attack.
Yeah, so these are sand spurs. And then
I feel like they're the same thing.
no, they're not.
But they're similar.
Oh. Okay. Sandburs and sand spurs are the same thing. I'm talking about cockaburs. Cockleburs. I don't know how to spell them. I'm a terrible English teacher. These things, these evil things.
Yeah.
I hate these. But none of these look like the ones we have. Why is that? You must have different ones.
Everything in Nebraska is mutated.
Hey, there's only so much that grows up here. But hey, I would rather have frigid temperatures, and all of those poisonous things don't live here, and I'm fine with that. We don't have to worry about hurricanes. We don't have to worry about stupid snakes that will kill you.
No, but you have ice. You have ice storms. You have deroches. You have tornadoes.
It's not like the tornado hits everybody like a hurricane, though. It's like one house here or there.
It was a pretty mild year for tornadoes for us. I
don't it, Derek.
Are we not out of the season yet?
No, we are, but it's 2020 and it could happen. It could be like a snow tornado.
Yeah.
Would that not be cool? A snow tornado.
Brannon, shut your mouth.
Sounds like a made for TV movie that you see on sci-fi. The snow
and we
tornado.
could get Mark Ryder. We could have Mark announce for it. Could you just imagine Mark announcing for a snow tornado?
Snow tornado.
In a world.
Hey, they gave somebody gave Mark Ryder an excavator today.
Oh Lord.
He had an excavator with a thumb tearing down a house adjacent to his property, and he did a pretty good job with it. Looked like he was having fun on Facebook.
Well, yeah. I know the first thing my father said when we bought our farm was, when can I bulldoze that old granary down? And it's still there. It's been like 10 years. Like, nope, that's my granary and it's going to stay.
Why not? Excavators and demolition carry a lot of fun. Just saying. We need Waffle House right now. That would be good.
You just had dinner.
Yeah, but I didn't get to eat it. I had like a little portion, and then I had to jump and run.
I do not believe that for a second. You had a little portion.
I didn't get to eat cake either, or cupcakes.
You poor thing. I haven't had supper at all yet.
I wanted cupcakes. Just saying. What?
Don't say anything.
Well, guys, it's been a great night, even though I was late to the party. But I'm going to get off of here and try to get some sleep and hope that when I wake up, the 3 oak trees in the front of the yard are still in the front and not on the house. And the camper that's in the backyard is not in the pasture behind the house.
But I thought you were only having a slight breeze.
Yeah. According to my phone, it's a slight breeze. If I go live at 3 a.m., we'll all know what I have.
You end up on the cold front lawn.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see you all next week. Derek, I look forward to seeing your hearing your newest podcast.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
I can't wait
Launch.
to see how they're going to be growing stuff in space.
Launches Monday.
Launch is Monday. And that's what United React, for those of you that...
Are they allowed to grow cannabis in space?
I mean, I would assume eventually.
But
But I mean, but you think about if you think about it, and it's you said cannabis and not hemp. The one thing that's a big no on a space station is an open flame.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
there's no convection in space, so it's not like you could bake it into anything either, because there's no oven.
What I was thinking, I wasn't, but what I was thinking was the medicinal, not as far as not smoking it, but as far as the medicinal part, as far as making things on the medical side, you couldn't even do that because you have to dry it.
Yeah.
I would think it would make more sense to just send a bottle of oil.
Probably.
Yeah, you can't. You would have to dry it. You would have. Megan, you don't like blizzards? I mean, think about it. There's a lot of things you could not do in space.
Most things.
What was that? Who's throwing dishes?
Oh, sorry. My mom is being rather loud. I'll mute myself.
No. What is mom cooking for supper?
Mom picked up Chinese food for supper. No, she's throwing her dishes in the dishwasher.
Oh.
Sorry. I'm here for it to be quiet away from my children, and my mom is being loud.
Well, Ramor says, greetings from Sonora, Mexico.
Yes. Yes.
Greetings.
Hola.
Hey, you got a viewership in Mexico.
I like it.
So now you can say you're internationally renowned.
We got some in Australia too.
We have a lot of people in farm life from a lot of countries. We got a couple thousand from Canada, and I think 1,000 or more from Australia too, don't we?
Yes, and
New
Zealand,
Ireland, Germany, England, Scotland.
All right. What is RJ doing?
I don't know, because he's at home.
No,
probably where.
Him and Dustin are making some sort of feed.
Oh yeah, they're they employed, and by employed I mean they didn't pay them, but they had our children and his children walk the cornfield to pick up corn cobs, and they threw it in the grinder wagon to make feed. I told him it'd be easier to make fence and stick the cows in the field like most people do, but he was more inclined to just use our child labor.
You have them.
So, yeah, I mean, Dustin has 4 and we got 5, so it doesn't take long for them to fill a pickup truck.
No, I just saw a post that Biloxi has flooded due to storm surge. So that's not necessarily a good thing.
I would say not.
I'm looking up right now to see what he's posted in the last few minutes. Apparently, he's stuck on a bridge in Slidell. Ooh, in Slidell.
That's the wrong place to be stuck.
Yeah, he's posted from I-10 in Slidell, and that's not a pretty picture 19 minutes ago. It is a tad bit breezy, just so you know. Mike from Mike's weather page, if you guys go out there and watch, Mike's probably the most accurate on the storms. He's hit almost every one of them dead on the last couple of years. And he's live there now And yeah, it's definitely a tad bit breezy. Well, gang, I'm going to hop out of here, and it's been a great night. I'm glad you guys were with us, and I'm glad you all joined us tonight. And let's all be safe out there. We'll go live tomorrow. I'll go live sometime tomorrow after the storm is cleared here, and either be very happy and dancing, or I'll be crying. We'll go either way, depending on what the cotton looks like, but we'll see. If there's a lot of cotton on the ground, Nicole, I need your kids. Make grand use of children.
You want all my kids to make you go pick your cotton.
No, they won't be picking.
You know, if COVID shuts the school down, I guess they'll be free. They can learn about history. History of agriculture, where people used to have large families to pick their cotton for them. Didn't we just have somebody last week on Farm Life talk about how he went to his grandparents?
Yes.
Who was that? Or was that Mark? They were talking about his grandparents, how they would get paid by the bull for their picking cotton for their grandparents.
Really?
Yeah. Because then they had said that Barry had bought that land. And we were talking about how it's such a small world.
Oh.
Who was that?
I don't know.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
I didn't know.
But thank you guys for coming on. Check out United We Ag with Derek next Monday when that new podcast drops on farming in outer space. And of course, check out all of Brent's stuff with Fastline Fast Track. That he has a lot going on always. And as always, Brannon and I will be here with Farm Life, trying to keep you entertained. So whether he's crying or dancing tomorrow, we shall see. And I'd like to thank Concept Agritech, Fastline Fast Track, and Gateway Seed for sponsoring our live tonight. You all have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.